they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet with Lucy and Estelle. We're back again with another Dynamite review. This week, we're obviously going to get into it. I have a lot of mixed feelings.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Juicy.
I do. But we have a couple of things to cover before we jump into that this week. So we did have a viewer question last week. We always welcome questions and we answer them at the start of our review. So if you've got any, please let us know. So someone asked us last week, really interesting question. Have you ever met a famous wrestler and was surprised by how they carried themselves? Were they dicks or surprisingly nice? I have one for each of these, dicks and surprisingly nice. Well, depends how you look at it. So a couple of years ago, I think it was 2022, I went to the For the Love of Wrestling convention, which is like here in the UK. It's just like a wrestling sort of fan fest, and they get some big stars to come and do meet and greets, autograph signing, pictures, that sort of thing. And like, yeah, it's just quite a lot of fun. Different stalls. Sometimes they usually have a wrestling show on as well. And MJF was there, and I got to meet MJF, which was very lucky to be able to do that. But this was when he was a heel. He was a full-blown heel, and he was in character with everyone. He was like this with everyone, and yeah, he was a complete arsehole, but I didn't expect anything less, and that's what I wanted.
What did he say to you specifically? Because I don't think you've told me that. Like, you've told me he was a bit of a dick, but...
Yeah, so it was an autograph signing, so it was this big queue of people, and I got to the front of the queue, and he looked me... He was sat at this little table, and he looked me up and down, and I was wearing, like dungarees, and he went, overalls? Really? Like, properly judgmentally. It was like... And they always have, like, chaperones sat next to them, and he turned to this guy and went, is this the type of thing that people wear in this country?
Damn!
And I was
have you
like,
worn them since?
Hell no. And then...
Burn them.
And then so he signed
trauma.
this photo, which I'm looking... It's over here somewhere in my room. And he went to hand it to me, and I went to grab it, and then he moved his hand away. And then I went to grab it again, and he did it again. And then oh my god, it was so cringe.
Well, you got your money's worth.
And I was recording on my phone because there was actually a reason for me to wear this dungarees. It's because it has a big pocket on the front where I could place my phone in the pocket and the camera would be peeking out, so I could record my interactions with these wrestlers. So there was a reason.
Do you have them on? Do you still have those interactions?
Yeah, I have them somewhere. Not on I've got a new phone since then, but yeah, I've definitely saved them.
I'd love to see those.
Yeah,
someday,
I'll have to dig them out of the archives. But I struggle to watch it back because it makes me cringe so much.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I was so nervous to meet him. I was so nervous to meet him, but when he was doing this...
I bet that made you feel so much better about your nerves.
It really didn't, but he smirked. So, I was like, oh my god, he loves me.
Brilliant.
So yeah, he wasn't. I knew he was in character, and I was like, I still love you. So
yeah, it's not like you just couldn't be asked.
Bit.
Exactly. It's like you say, you got your money's worth. You got your MJF heel interaction.
Yeah, right.
It'd be worse if you went up to him and he just signed it, and like he could. It's like some heel wrestlers would do that. Like they'd just be lazy and just sign it and like. But he committed. He was like, he roasted your outfit. He was like, teasing you with the autograph. He was committed, man.
Yeah, my Delulu ass was like, this he's being mean because he likes me. And then, surprisingly nice. Many years before that, I think it was 2016, I went to Blackpool Comic Con, which was the worst organised event I've ever been to in my life. And I queued up for a long time to meet Mick Foley, but it was completely worth it. I took his book with me to get that signed. One of his books, he's published many. It was his first one that I took, and he signed that for me, and he was like asking me what my name was and stuff, and so he could write my name. And then I was wearing a Roddy Piper shirt, and he complimented that. And then as I was walking away from his desk, so I paid for like one autograph, which was the book, and he called me back. He went, "Lucy, come back. I'm gonna give you a signed photo as well, so you've got something a bit nicer than the book."
What the hell?
Yeah, and it was just I was just completely taken aback because, like I said, I was walking away. I was like, "Wow, I had that moment. That was the best moment of my whole life." And then it was like, "Here, he gave me a free signed photo because I don't know why." Because he said, "So you have something a bit nicer than just the book." I was like, "God bless you." So yeah, Mick Foley's probably, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say probably the nicest wrestler I've ever met. He was just very generous with his time. And like I said, that was like the worst organised event I've ever been to. So like he was doing that for hours, like hours. And also I found out a couple of years later, because he put this on Instagram, he never got paid for that event. The organisers never paid him. So that's how bad it was. I mean, I hope he got his cash for just from doing autographs and stuff, because he would have made bank from that. But yeah, that just speaks how lovely Mick Foley is. So, and he's the first wrestler that I ever met. So that was a very, very heartwarming, very special.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about Mick Foley. Like some people have like always like the best that I've ever met, and some people are like I didn't have the best interaction with him, depending on
really?
like how his mood was. Yeah, like not. I think sometimes he's just an old man. He gets a bit tired, you know. But then I feel like it's either amazingly like over the top nice interaction like what you had, or the opposite. That's just what I've heard from people.
That's interesting. I mean, I can sense the fact, like you said, he's like a grumpy old man. He's kind of earned that right to be a bit grumpy, and like, you know, I guess like outside of a traditional like meet and greet environment, I can imagine why you wouldn't maybe like just want to be cheerful meeting people. I understand it. I mean, can you imagine being a wrestler? And I'm not saying that people that this is what happened in those situations with Mick Foley, but can you just imagine being a wrestler, getting off an airplane, and there's a bunch of people there asking you to sign like tens of hundreds of like pumpo pop vinyls, Funko Pops, whatever the fuck you call them stupid things. Like,
yeah,
oh my God, you'd be fuming. Yeah.
I feel like even going to like those signing events though, and just having the same people come up, and how it must get old with people saying the same things over and over again, and you know, how long does it take for those things to kind of lose their meaning? Maybe for some people they don't, but having people come up and be like continuous, like, oh my God, like you were my childhood, you were my everything. Like, how long till those words don't really hold the same sincerity, or people just there to get the autograph rather than like the experience. I don't know.
I feel like I think wrestlers get the sense when someone's trying to get an autograph to make a profit off them rather than as a fan, and definitely I have every right to be pissed off because
I couldn't do it. I couldn't be that person. Like I couldn't ever do like if I was famous with like, you know, as wrestlers famous, but meet and greets, like sitting there with I have very limited patience. Very limited patience. Yeah, I'm just thinking at work when people take too long choosing a bagel, or like they come up and they say the same fucking things over and over again.
And they make a funny joke and you just like
it's just the same joke. It's like you say, what bread is it? It's like Subway. It's like, what bread is it? And they're like, oh, I have to make that choice as well. Oh my God, like fuck off, man. Yeah, I wouldn't have the patience. But I have not really, I think I've ever met any wrestler, to be fair. I haven't been to any kind of event, like meet and greet event. I think I kind of told myself that I would if Kenny comes, just because like he's my favourite, like maybe my absolute all-time favourite wrestlers. Like I would go and meet, but otherwise, I don't know. I'm not anti-VIP. I'm not, but like for myself, I'm just like I'd rather have the interactions that we kind of had at All In. like just natural and organic. And by organic, I don't mean waiting outside the fucking hotel or like at the airport. Okay, that's not what I fucking mean by organic. It's just if by chance something happens. But all I can speak to is not a wrestler, but Nigel. When we went to the Magic show, obviously we got to see him in like that intimate setting, but we were lucky enough to just have a quick word with him, and he was absolutely lovely, grounded, down to earth. He had time for everyone in that place, and he just, I mean, not that I ever had any negative feelings towards Nigel, like, oh, you know, he's stuck up or whatever. But I was just so surprised at just how grounded and just naturally charismatic and chill. A really, really lovely guy.
Yeah, he's so lovely, and I'm glad that you said that. I
wouldn't say surprisingly nice though, but like,
I know what you mean though. Like, he's always.
I was still taken aback.
Very chilled, and we know when someone's in front of you, and you're like, oh my god, you're a famous person, and you're right there. But there was something very calming about his presence. And besides from that, you know what I mean though. Like, he was very chill, and I've been lucky enough to attend a few commentary seminars with him, like virtual ones, and in that he had so much time for everyone to answer everyone's questions and things. Like, people paid to be there. He was getting paid for that event, obviously, but the amount of detail he went in, and like he was just so willing to share his knowledge with everyone. So Nigel McGuinness is a very, very lovely man. Speaking of commentary, next week I've got 2 commentary gigs, and I'm gonna cheaply plug them while I've got the chance. So one's on Monday. It's in Manchester. It's a Catch Pro Wrestling event. Get yourself to that if you're in the area. I don't know how much tickets are, but they're not that expensive. It's at the Bread Shed. And there's some huge matches on. Chris Ridgway is wrestling amongst other huge stars. So it's going to bang. Definitely get yourself there if you can. Fancy some wrestling on a school night. And then I've got another show on a school night on Wednesday. That's in Liverpool for Atomic Pro Wrestling. It's their biggest show ever. It's at Content in Liverpool, which I believe is where they do Bongos Bingo. So it's their biggest event ever. It's their biggest card ever. So I would definitely encourage anyone to get there if you can. Leon Slater of TNA fame is wrestling at that event, amongst many, many other people. Hope to see you there. I'm so excited for them both. They're both going to absolutely bang. Oh, right, okay.
Booked. I'm busy.
Yeah. I mean, I've had such a quiet few weeks, and then suddenly it's all like 2 at once, baby. No rest.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited. And that's going to be really good. But I'm finished. Enough of all that. Let's get into the reason why we're all here.
Yep.
Let's review Dynamite.
I'm very me intrigued as to what you've got mixed feelings about. I'm very interested. So we should go through.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to know if you have the same feelings as me, or if I was just, got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning.
I found overall this Dynamite again to be, as I described last week, pleasant. Nothing really rocked my world. I think, especially considering that Dynasty, which I texted you when I was watching the show, I didn't realise it was a week on Sunday away.
Christ,
I don't think there's that much really hot, like compared to Revolution. We had a lot of, and I mean, you can't expect that every pay-per-view. You can't, guys. Like, that was fucking stacked, and that was months and months and years of, like, in some cases, build up on these characters and things coming to a head. You can't expect that for every pay-per-view. I appreciate that, but it feels like going into Dynasty, I don't know, like, what is actually hot, because, well, I suppose we'll get to it, but the Swerve and Mox thing, I guess, is like the only thing, but that still does feel quite tepid to me. Other than that, there's no big feuds, and also this episode didn't really do that much. It didn't feel like we're one more Dynamite away from this massive fuck off pay-per-view. It didn't feel like that. So yeah, but I found it pleasant and watchable. I had one issue, which I'm sure we can all guess what the issue was, but we'll get to it right at the end. Wink.
Does it rhyme with beg and main?
Beg and main, yeah, it might. Stab in the dark there, Lucy.
Yeah.
So we start off with Kenny versus Blake Christian. This is a Ring of Honor. He looked like top flight 4.0, but I will say, choice opponent, but for what it was decent enough. I thought Blake Christian, he had something about him. He did have something about him. He's not ready for Dynamite. I think I'm not totally offended that he got this match. He's not ready to be on the main roster, but I can see like the sprinklings, the foundations of something decent there. He had the chops and the character cuts. He played the heel well. Kenny's sharp technical wrestling was kind of speaking against the arrogance of Blake Christian while he was all, talk and all showboating. Kenny just replied with hard-hitting technical wrestling, which was satisfying. What do you make of the choice opponent? Do you think?
Yes, it was a choice opponent. I just wondered, Kenny's got quite a limited run left, shall we say? We presume. I don't want to. Again, I don't want to be patronising, but I want to protect him. I want him to be, at his best. And I'm just kind of like, of all the people, in his possibly limited amount of matches left, what's with this? I didn't really get it, and I'm happy to be corrected in the comments if there's something I'm missing. Is Blake Christian the best wrestler ever? Maybe, I don't know. In this match, I didn't get the impression that he was. I'm not saying he was bad, but I didn't think, oh, amazing. It wasn't like a Mike Bailey type debut of whoa, he's blown my mind. But I don't think it was positioned to be like that anyway. But he had some creative offense. I feel like it was better than if it was just like a squash. He got some of his shit in. Kenny looked good. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not much to complain about, but it kind of felt a bit like a friendly sort of football match. So it's like you kind of have to do it for no particular reason. It's just a thing you do. It's nice to see, if you support a football team, nice to see your team playing, but you're also a bit worried that someone's going to get injured before the season starts.
You think it was that high risk of a match?
No, I don't. I just think I'm just being too protective over Kenny. I don't know. I've just got this thing.
No, I don't think you are. I think it was fine, but is fine what we should be striving for when Kenny's coming out and he's got all that pyro and he's got the crowd reaction. He's got easily to Will Ospreay, the second or top. Him and Will share the amount of fanfare that they receive. Why against this guy from Ring of Honor, who presumably I don't watch Ring of Honor, but he seemed decent enough. He was a step up from a jobber. He wasn't quite a Mike Bailey, but he was. Yeah. He had something about him, I thought. But yeah, it's not. You've got so many mid carders. You've got such a huge roster, a huge depth of a roster. Why not use someone that's already there? Yeah,
exactly that. It just, I'm not sure the whole point of it.
Yeah, I mean, even Kenny, he was kind of passive aggressive. He said, "I don't get the chance to wrestle every week the way that I want to," which was interesting. But he said that he had a chance to come wrestle in. I'm so sorry, I can't remember where. Was it Canada? Was it Manitoba? It began with M.
Was it Minnesota?
Minnesota. Yeah, it was Minnesota. But he wanted to come to Minnesota. He said he could make it quick. Next week at Dynasty, it'll be a different story. Speedball comes out. He's like, "You're an inspo to me, Kenny. You're on my Pinterest board." Kenny just being awkward as fuck. Speedball says he won't hold back though. Ricochet's in a garden, says today is his wedding, which, was it his wedding? I don't know.
I've seen pictures of them getting married, so I know that they did, and that's why
I thought they were already married.
I just seen this really beautiful thing of them with big fireworks in the background. It's really beautiful. But I don't know if, obviously, this might not have been filmed on his actual wedding day.
Yeah, and he says, I'm going to be the new champion. And Kenny's like, to Mike Bailey back in ring, he's like, I don't need friends. I have a cat. Uh, he says, which I think was the most potent part about all this. He says, I only have time for what's going on around my waist and my legacy, and you guys are just a stepping stone. And I will say, I'm really appreciating the character direction of Kenny. While it might be frustrating to see him go against a Blake Christian, and it might not be what we all want in the idealized world, I really like this arrogance that he's got, and it's almost heelish the way that he's kind of portraying himself. But I just love the confidence that he's got, and that just nothing's really phasing him, and that's kind of what we want from Kenny. We want the best battle machine. We want, the match of the year factory. We want that guy, and that's the guy that we are getting. And maybe if the booking is frustrating, I just really like that he's got clear direction and just the focus on his legacy. Like it's juicy.
Yeah, it's almost as if he's come back from injury and sort of realised, well, life's too fucking short. I need to go all out. I'm not scared of anyone. I just need to be the best, and I know that I'm the best. And he was on top form on the mic. Very, very funny, and also so concise and to the point. Just like, don't have time for this. See ya. I feel like Mike Bailey didn't get much chance to say much of note. I feel like we didn't really get anywhere with his character with this. I mean, anyone could have said that. I respect you, but I'm not. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back. I mean, anyone could have said that. It's a pretty generic thing to say. But I'm not criticizing him. I'm not saying he's bad at promos or anything. I just think he didn't really have much to work with here.
Yeah, this is his role, though, isn't he? He's the preppy babyface who's come in. He's won the favour of the crowd, and he's in this role where he's like, I'm grateful. I look up to you, Kenny. And Kenny's like, I don't give a fuck. Kenny in the past would be like, oh, that's so sweet. Kenny now's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, good for you, babes.
Okay.
Moving on. Cool story, bro. But I think it's fine. I think it's absolutely fine for the moment. I'm really looking forward to this match so far. I think it's my favourite match that they've got booked, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed. But I don't think that this week added anything to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Can't argue with it. Then we had Bandido. He got Gravity's mask back. And Jericho, the whole thing that happened at Collision with the child. Yeah. Which was absolutely hilarious. If you haven't watched Collision or seen that clip, it was so funny. And Jericho called out the branches. He's like, you've been resting on your laurels again. And to Bandido, he calls him out, and he's like, let's put your mask on the line now for my Ring of Honor title at Dynasty. So God help us, hopefully that's on the pre-show.
I mean, at least it's got some quite high stakes. You got to think that Bandido's going to win this, like, surely.
Oh, and he's gonna win the Ring of Honor championship. Whoa, Bandido stocks through the roof. Stonks, mate, stonks. Yeah, but I did find the fact that he was calling out Bill and Brian Keith interesting. And I thought, are we going to do the breakup angle? But then other stuff happened later on, which I thought was equally interesting, and I'm equally happy in the direction that they're taking those two on. So yeah, it's a cool escalation. So we had MJF. He's finally coming out to answer MVP, who last week gave him a business card for the Hurt Syndicate, and he asks MVP to come down for his answer. He's buttering MVP up from the gate, which originally made me think that he was going to do like you say, like his typical schmuck of, he builds him up and then he's like, but no, I'm not going to do it. So that's where I felt, he was baiting me to bait me. I liked it. I was getting worked. Max says he doesn't want friends, and MVP doesn't do friends. He does business, and Max wants to join, which, we thought he was going to drag it out, but he was pretty to the point. He was like, I want to join. But the tension came in that Lashley and Benjamin come down, and Lashley asks for the card back, and he rips it up in front of Max, which was quite heartbreaking because, especially if you kind of look at Max through the tragic lens, and it felt like he was really putting himself out on a limb to be vulnerable in this segment. So it kind of broke my heart when Lashley did that.
Yeah, I felt really sorry for him. I felt like, oh, how embarrassed would he be? And that's probably... He's probably going to try and mask that emotion and then get angry as a defense mechanism about that. From his like sort of prideful point of view. Yeah, that was sad.
I'm surprised that he didn't, because I thought again like he was going to lash out in the moment and this was all going to descend. But he didn't. He kept it together because MVP mediates and he says they're cool. MVP was on fire. This whole episode was just MVP. Just being doing MVP thing. Being the MVP, motherfucker. I want to meet MVP. He says they're cool and they will talk. So, but huge, absolutely huge that Max has agreed to join the Hurt Syndicate because, again, like we predicted that wouldn't have been the outcome. We said it'd be the more interesting outcome, and they've gone down that road. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I wish I'd thought of this angle, like why. I'm not sure. I don't think that we discussed this last week. Like, how would Shelton and Bobby react to it? What would they think of it? And I mean, this seems like a very logical sort of reaction from them to be like, well, don't be a dumbass. You've seen what he's done in the past. No way, we don't want him part of the team. Whereas MVP's thinking more just from like a business standpoint, rather than like I guess like an emotional standpoint or like a loyalty standpoint. So yeah, it's interesting. Also, side note, Bobby Lashley, he looks so cute when he wears those glasses.
Bobby Lashley. I think it'll be interesting having MVP divert his attention, split it between the Hurt Syndicate and Max. And I think him and Max I know they've just been kind of bantering off one another in promos, but I think they'll really work nicely together. I mean, two amazing talkers. It's giving him and Punk back in the heyday. It's an absolute superpower right there. So, yeah, totally. I don't think Max is in for the Owen Hart, is he yet? Because it'd be cool to maybe see him go into the Owen Hart and have MVP coach him through.
Yeah, that would.
Something like that.
That would, yeah. He's not been officially announced yet. I mean, we'll get to it later, but Jay White is only the third person who's been confirmed, I believe, which was on this episode. So, still plenty of room.
Anything else to say on the Hurt Syndicate fiasco? No. So then, the segment continues. It got better, guys. It got better. I forgot. So Brian Keith, Big Bill come down. And this segment was surprisingly very hot, very tense. MVP was cooking. Holy shit. It felt... Obviously, this is a segment that's been booked and they weren't shooting, but it felt like MVP snipes were not, but he just has such a talent for coming. I loved the Bill, he's like propositioning him and Brian Keith, which again is so logical because Chris Jericho just told them to prove themselves. So they've gone to the fucking Hurt Syndicate and like, we're going to prove ourselves and ask for a title shot. And he's like, I don't see any challenges around here, so why don't you pick us? And MVP's just quick like, I don't see any either. I was like, fucking hell, like this the man, way like he cooked him.
The way he interrupted him made it feel like it was a shoot. Like there was just the way that MVP presented himself, that like he wasn't waiting for Big Bill to finish. He was, and in some ways it made it feel sort of awkward, but I think you're right in saying tense. I think it was tense rather than awkward. Like it
was great.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he genuinely did seem hot.
Yeah, because Bill was kind of getting more and more flustered and more frustrated, but you could see he was really clinging to the script, to the plan. He was really trying to go in that clean-cut direction of, well, we're challenging. I was never pinned or submitted for the tag titles.
Well, I mean, yeah, he has a good point, doesn't he?
But also that's how tag wrestling works. Like, no one's ever been outraged before. It's not a clause of...
Yeah, but what he was saying about
I
like
understand.
Sting and then leaving and he didn't get a rematch, I was like, yeah, you make a pretty good argument, Bill. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Book it.
So he proposed a match, and MVP says win a match first. But again, like with the whole bitch thing, and he's like, we've already done the bitch thing. It was just so. Ooh, and like I'm like, why am I so hyped for this? Like, why is this like? In terms of tension, the hottest thing. I'm sorry, like in terms of tension, in terms of blood feud, this is like piping hot for me.
I mean, you know,
with the vibes,
being proved right about how much you love Big Bill. It's been justified.
I do, and MVP, as well. And then we had a backstage segment promoting the main event, which was a women's tag match. You had the team of the Thunder Tits, not Thunderstorm. Yeah, just putting over the main event, typical of, you know, we're gonna beat them tonight, that sort of thing. Then we had Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher. This was easily the best match of the night. Both coming out of a highly physical match at Dynasty against different opponents, and both lost in their respective matches, but both had, coming out of Dynasty, arguably masses of momentum, I thought, even though they lost, because both their showings were really, really good.
Sorry, you keep saying Dynasty, you mean Revolution, right?
I mean Revolution.
Yeah. You said it once, I wouldn't have corrected you, but you said it twice, and I was like, okay.
My bad, lads. My bad.
It's all good. We're looking to the future. You're looking ahead.
Yeah, I'm just on autopilot.
Well, I knew it.
This was also highly aggressive and physical, though, because like you'd think after the match that they'd had at Revolution, that you know, they'd be like, do you know what? Let's just dial it in for this one, lads.
Let's take it easy. No.
Brody King, I felt he dominated this for the majority of the match, but my God, I don't think I was worked. I think this was legit. When he went into that ring post, it was awful. To me, it looked like he was concussed from that point out. And then again, Kyle Fletcher dived into him, and he went into the LED board, which the comms kept putting over that spot. But I thought he got fucked up from when he went into the post. His face just went fully into the steel. It was nasty. Kyle Fletcher also received some lashings, though. We had the Death Valley Driver, and there was a really nice count-out spot to seal the impact, which I appreciated. It really let the match have time to breathe, because this was quite a lengthy match as well.
It was really lengthy, wasn't it? It went on for like 2 ad breaks.
Yeah. Mark Davis pulls Kyle Fletcher out of the way of I can't remember what. Oh, it was a corner cannonball, and he pulled him out the way, so Brody King absorbed the damage. Kyle Fletcher then gouged Brody King's eyes, and we had the really, really cool Tomb Buckle Brainbuster, I believe, for the win against Brody King, which just looked mega.
Yeah, that was a really insane spot, especially considering the stuff they'd already done. And like you mentioned, like Brody looked pretty banged up. To then do that, that was it was really hard to watch. I don't know how you do a move like that safely. I really do. Fuck me, I don't know how you do any move safely in wrestling. I'm not a wrestler, but that just looked so dangerous. Yeah, it was excellent, an excellent way to end the match.
Yeah. And then we had the post-match beatdown on King, which sort of lent into the next segment of Hobbs coming down for his match against Mark Davis. He came through the crowd, Hobbs that is, and the ring was cleared out. It was an exciting start, and then they had a break, and when we came back, the security surrounding him. So I believe it was Mark Davis on the ramp and Hobbs maybe in a corner by the barricade, but that was like, whoa, okay, like, you know, it was a really cool, explosive, I keep saying cool today, cool way to start the match. And as I've said before on this podcast, I love dynamic blending of segments and matches and run-ins. And we had a bit of that with the Brian Keith and Big Bill thing, and their backstage segment to then them coming out to Brian. I keep saying Brian Keith, but Brody King. Today's not a good speech day. Brody King and Cal Fletcher, and then the beatdown and Hobbs coming down because Matt Davis was out, and I just love it. I just love it. It's like, as I say, talking smack era. Which, you know, is the saving grace of the shitty 2010s wrestling in WWE.
Yeah, it's fun when stuff, just like bleeds into one another, and you quickly move from one thing to the other. It's very like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. It keeps your attention, demands your attention.
This was another hard-hitting match, 2 bruisers just slugging it out. But it was very short in comparison to the previous match, and I would have liked to have seen these two go at it for a bit longer, because Hobbs took a swift victory, which, you know, it's nice. I hope Hobbs can maybe go for a mid-card title or something, because he's been garnering momentum for quite a while. Crowd likes him, I like him, and I'd like to see him just have a bit of direction. But yeah, I felt like, especially for the pace of this match and what they were trying to do, it made no sense to have it be as short as it was. So I just wanted more.
Yeah, especially with like Mark Davis sort of demanding a lot of attention in the past few weeks and like looking like really good to him. I mean, I don't think he should have won this one necessarily, but yeah, it was just very short. It just felt very abrupt and a very decisive, like, dominant win. And I think against anyone else, that's what you would have wanted, but it just felt like a bit of a shame for Mark Davis, really.
Yeah. Then we had Kip, Nick Wayne, and Shayna backstage. Nick's very cryptic and passive-aggressive. He's like, I'm starting to understand why Christian did what he did at Revolution, but he'll speak with Christian face-to-face about it. He's talking about making a plan, you know, how a plan should be done, what happens when you follow the plan. It was, you know, it's all building up to some kind of fracturing of the patriarchy. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Just cooking away, simmering away.
Yeah, Nick Wayne's still very angry, clearly.
Angsty. He's in his angsty era. Okay. Then we had Hangman, and he's being interviewed by Renee, but Swerve gets heated, and he comes in, interrupts at the mention of the title, says, you know, you get nowhere near that, boy. And Nana sort of ushers him away. So very tense. And people have been theorising that at Dynasty, as in the Dynasty in the future, not Dynasty in the past. I just keep reminding myself. Yeah, that Swerve will pick up the win, which I don't know about that, guys. I don't, especially after this episode. I'm not feeling it. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. Swerve will pick up the title, and then Hangman will win the Owen, and all in at Texas. The main event will be Swerve versus Hangman, and we'll come full circle on that story. So,
I mean, yeah,
it felt like they were sowing the seeds of that here.
Yeah, it's plausible, and I would be down to clown with that. Yes, please. But yeah, I'm not 100% convinced either. I think it's maybe more likely that Hangman might cost Swerve the match, even.
Really?
I'm not really convinced that Swerve is going to be the one to end Mox's reign, to be honest.
It's like damage control at this point, isn't it, if it happens?
Yeah, and I feel like I don't disagree that like his reign should probably end soon, but we'll get onto their segment later anyway. I can explain more what I mean then, but yeah, I think that they are going to interact. Swerve and Hangman, like, you know, that what we're sowing the seeds for something in the future with them, whether it is that match one-on-one for the title, or something a bit more sneaky, something a bit more underhanded than that. Not sure.
It would be nice to sort of have that double heel turn. Not double heel turn. Like, I know that Hangman has been wrestling face, but to fully cement that with a match against Swerve and him sort of... Which I feel like he's been thinking for a while now about making peace with Swerve, especially with the Christopher Daniels stuff. And we saw him go to his backstage locker room, dressing room, whatever the hell you want to call it. Dressing room, that's what it's called. And... you know, it feels like, especially in this segment, Swerve being the aggressor, whereas in the past it was kind of more so the other way around. So, yeah, maybe something like that sort of happening, because I think it would be nice to have Hangman face, and it'd be especially nice to have him get a reign again, a world title reign, that is. And as I've been saying for a while, with MJF, but I've been feeling it especially from Swerve, kind of getting that edge back, kind of getting that a bit more depth back into his character, because when he won the world title, he elevated himself to the great, and now he just feels like the great, untouchable, just a fucking star main eventer of a wrestler. But in doing that, he did kind of lose a bit of his grit and a bit of his edge, because now he's just a prestigious wrestler. You know, when he's saying he's the most dangerous man in AEW, because it's been a while since we've seen that, it's kind of hard to believe. So it'd be kind of nice for Swerve to maybe take it too far. And I've been waiting for that from a while, because I was theorising with Ricochet that Nana was going to go off and that was going to be kind of his sort of thing. But I think if they tied the two things together with Hangman and Swerve, that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think... yeah, there's more. It's weird to say about Hangman and Swerve, because like they've both got very developed characters and obviously intertwined with one another, and we've already explored a lot of depth, but there is even more, clearly, especially with Swerve. A lot more depth, a lot more potential.
Snow had something with, I think, interesting depth. The Shivani interview with Rated FTR. Now, at first, when this first announced that, I'm thinking, what is the end to this? And I still do kind of think that to a certain degree. What is like the end feud with this? Because I said before, like, is it going to be Cash and Dax? Is it going to be one half of FTR against Cope? Like, where are we going with this? But we kind of got some answers. So Dax, he starts speaking about his emotions, getting the better of himself the previous week when he did not help Cope up. And Cope and Cash do not look impressed by this explanation. Cope was like, I didn't pull you away from the titles. I was helping you with the Death Riders. They put a bag over your head. I was just coming to give you some backup. Like, I wasn't trying to pull anyone away from anything. I'm like, fair point. Dax was very much in his therapy talk era. He was like, it wasn't your intention, but it was how I felt. And I was like, damn, he's setting those boundaries. I was like, pop off, king. Cash tries to mediate. He talks about that him and Cope have a really deep relationship too, and he's done a lot for him. He helped him when he was essentially homeless, gave him a place to stay. Dax is like, cool. So all right, cool, I don't care, water under the bridge, me and you, Cash, we're going after her Syndicate. He is laser focused. He's mentioned before was about the title, his gripe about the title, and then again he goes back to he's laser focused on that tag title. Cash is like, yeah, but the tension isn't really resolved, and I want to go after the trios. And it's like, oh girl, like why are you bringing up the trios? Like, ain't no one talking about the trios. And yeah, but Cope's like, yeah, I'm down for trios, and Dax is like, well, yeah, I guess I'll go for the trios too. Yeah, then we had the bit of tension at the end. Dax like top guys out, and then Cope's like rated FTR out, and it was like he was kind of overstepping, taking over this operation, which multiple things. First of all, the trios title coming back into the mix after being irrelevant for ages. I don't know, because part of me is like, at least something is being done, I guess. But it's also like JoJo too little too late, you know? It's like suddenly we want to go after the trios. Like, why didn't we think about that before? And also, I do find this really interesting. But again, to what end? Like, what happens? Because FTR are a package deal. Like, they're not going to break up. That's not the answer. So but it's like Cash is aligning himself with Cope, and they've sort of got a little thing going on. And the way they're sort of building it is that Dax is going to have a tantrum because, you know, it's like when you're in high school and you've got, if you've ever...
Find a new friend.
Yeah, especially the female experience of being a trio friend group. I think we could all relate to that. Like, that's what this was giving. It was highly relatable. But, you know, the way they're kind of plotting it is that Dax is going to pop off, but to what end? And also, it's kind of surprising because we thought Cope was going to kind of go off and get involved in the Christian stuff, and obviously that isn't the case now. So, yeah, well, what do you make of all that? Unpack it for me, Lucy.
Gosh, that's a good point that I didn't even think of as well. Fucking Christian. He's if like Dax is like the third wheel friend who's feeling abandoned. What's Christian like? The ex that no one likes. Yeah, I feel like Dax was trying to apologize and sort of make sense of what he did, but the other two were just jumping down his throat and being
really?
Like, well,
that's your take on it.
Well,
I was sort of sympathetic to Dax.
I was sympathetic, but they were like,
you're more sympathetic. I like it.
Yeah,
you're reading a different side.
He wasn't
psychology.
Getting a chance to explain himself. Like, he was trying, and what he said made sense. Like, oh, just, you know, I'm sorry, I let my emotions get the better of me, but I feel like we just lost track of the championships, and that's my main aim. And he was trying to explain this, and then the other two were just like, oh well, that's not what it was like, blah blah blah. Like, they weren't engaging in a healthy conversation, I felt like. And then Cash was just like, anyway, shut up, Dax. I love you, Adam. So, which it was interesting. It was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, this is a funny dynamic, and it felt quite, yeah, sort of like toxic in a way. Like, I don't know, like Dax isn't having this chance to truly express himself, and the other two are in this happy little rainbow world where they just love each other, and they're gonna go after the trios, and like, come on, you coming or not? Let's go get these championships.
See, I feel like the way I read it was Dax is more possessive. It felt like Dax was being really possessive of Cash Wheeler, and he's like, we're FTR and we go after the tag titles.
Yeah, that's valid. That is valid. I don't know why I didn't get that.
No, I think it's really interesting, really cool, like, because I do think that's fair and that's valid, and I think it's like interesting how people would look at this, because I can see Dax's point, and I can see like you explaining it that way, but yeah, I just feel like he's just laser focused on the titles, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's wrestling, but those two were more coming from the place of having fun and friendship. And that's why Cash bringing up at the end, he's like, you know, the tension resolved. He's more focused on the friendship and the fact that, you know, they have the little Bret Hart dungeon or the tequila dance, you know. He's more focused on the big picture, whereas Dax is more like, Dax makes more sense because, yeah, they're fucking wrestlers, and like, yeah, they should be focused on like the tag titles, and that does make more sense. But
yeah,
on an emotional level, it's just coming across a bit, I don't know, a bit too hyper fixated. But I guess not because he's a fucking wrestler, and of course he wants to win the tag titles. But
yeah. I don't know. I think because he opened the gate with saying, well, I'm sorry. You know, wrestlers don't really do that, do they? They don't tend to say, I'm sorry for this. I was wrong for doing that. I think that, to me, seemed sort of reasonable. Like, okay, explain yourself, and that's okay. We can move past it. But I don't know. I feel like the other two didn't really forgive him. And that's why I feel like it's quite toxic. I feel like they're not going to let it go. But then I can also see, like, Dax maybe costing them the trios titles, or, you know, just something quite predictable like that. Where this is going, like oh well, I didn't want to do this anyway. You replace me with your hero just because he blah blah blah, kissing each other's ass, sleeping on each other's sofas. What about our friendship and all the tag team championships that we've won together?
Something I can see happening that would be very indulgent, bringing Christian into this, is we go down this route, and yeah, I really like the idea of Dax costing him. Maybe not on purpose. Maybe he just isn't competently wrestling enough, and it isn't his fault. But the other two are like, well, it's your fault because they're all in buddy land right now. And Christian's already broken up with the patriarchy, and maybe we get like I was gonna say mixed tag, but they're not the same fucking gender. But we get Christian and Dax versus Cash and Edge.
Oh yeah,
so I feel like that would be very indulgent and something that I could see them wanting to do.
Yeah, 100%. You can just see them wanting to face each other, but wanting to do it together, and like it's sort of like a dream scenario for them. Like they get to face their best friend. Yeah. Oh yeah, here for that.
So with this though, we're just gonna have to see. But it's at least it's interesting. It could be a train wreck. It could be amazing. We'll see.
But, we've just debated it for a hot minute, so it must be
We're
good.
here for the therapy session. We're here for men taking accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Men having emotions. We're here for that.
Yeah. Healthy communication is important. I think Adam
Copeland shut
down,
but
needs to get better at it.
Oh.
Joking. I'm joking.
So we've got Swerve. He's calling out Mox, who instantly answers. He's instantly coming down to the ring. Swerve says he's been allowing this to go on for far too long, but he likes to give people enough rope to hang themselves on. He's like, Mox, you hide behind the Death Riders. I like the line of you hide. He said something to the effect of you hide behind the briefcase because you're not worthy of it if you had to carry it around. I wrote, it still feels pretty tepid, this. It's not hot, this. It's like in the same way of Mike Bailey. It's like rehearsed, expected character lines, like clear cut, create. And again, I'm not dunking on Speedball Mike Bailey. I think it's fine for a Mike Bailey, but I think for a Swerve versus Mox program where it just feels like they're hitting the notes of kind of what's expected, it's just not that interesting. So Claudio, he's behind Nana. Mox says that sounds great if you believe it. It's Swerve versus Swerve at Dynasty. And Mox says he has high hopes for him. So, yeah, let's just roll on April 6th. But Mox is also like, you haven't suffered enough for this. What you need to get up and face yourself in the mirror and yada yada. Mox, my spot has been taken over by billionaires and Hollywood hacks. But you make it seem worth it. You are a great fighting champion. It was giving that Gordon Ramsay parody of, this dish is fucking amazing. It's MasterChef, and it's like there's a parody video, and it's like I love this dish, but I don't love the fact that there's too much chili. But I do. It was like fucking hell. But one thing I did write is so the pay-per-view is called Dynasty. Mox has a begrudging respect for Swerve, and he really wants him to step up and beat him. It feels like. So is Swerve the worthy heir? That kind of feels like the storyline that we're going into. To this. So just the Mox and Swerve bit, are you like me? Are you just not really that excited? You said you didn't find it believable that Swerve's going to win.
Well, no, I don't. But I enjoyed this segment because I think they're two just kings of the microphone and really good at cutting and promo. But that's not to say that it made me dead excited for this match. I mean, I think it's going to be good, but I don't think, like you said, the feud is quite tepid. But I think they still cut nice promos. I like the idea that Swerve is like, he's the one who's smart enough to overcome Moxley's shenanigans. And it's interesting what you said, like he's the worthy one. Moxley clearly thinks he's worthy. I liked I especially thought that Swerve had some really good lines in this that I liked a lot. He said like he's everything that Moxley used to describe himself as, sort of like the heart of AEW. And then that nice little line, he was like, "You've bled pints, I've bled buckets." A couple of other like nice little things like that, which, yeah, I just quite liked it. But I know what you mean about it seeming like they're just going through the motions. Like, yeah, I'm still not convinced that this is how the Death Rider story is going to end. It doesn't feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like catastrophic enough, like dramatic enough for this to be the big climatic ending of this huge storyline that's been going on for a long time. As much as I love Swerve and everything I've just said about him, it just doesn't feel right. There's something not right about the idea of him winning to me.
But then look at the Devil storyline. That didn't have a climatic ending either. So it's just, and the more time goes on, the more I feel like we are dealing with the Devil situation, and they are just going to take the proverbial horse out to the back and shoot it. Like, that's just the way I'm feeling. But again, I agree. I want tension. I want a big contract signing. I want nose to nose screaming. I want passion, more energy, more passion. This just felt corny. I'm not gonna lie, these two were great on the mic, so there was some great chops, there was some great lines, but it just felt corny, going through the motions, and just I'm not excited. Like, if Swerve wins, I'd be excited in the sense of like, oh cool, like something new, but not in the right way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Not in the right way.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at as well. It wouldn't be like, I think, because if I know he won this title at last year's Dynasty, didn't he? So that's a year ago. So however many months it's been since he lost that title, like less than 12 months. So it still feels quite recent that he was champ. And that should add like legitimacy to his claim to be champ again, but it just doesn't feel exciting. She's kind of like, oh, we've been there and done that
just
quite
going
recently.
back to the status quo.
Yeah.
And I said I want him to do something a bit different. I want him to get his edge back. I want him to step away from this golden boy of AEW, it feels like. The mascot, the guy on the t-shirt, the beakers. I want him to step away from that and go a bit grungier and a bit darker again. Yeah, exactly. And I just... this is not that. This is stepping up. That's Ospreay's spot now. Ospreay is the golden boy of AEW. I'm not saying like I want him to be pushed. I want the man to continue being pushed. I don't want him to lose place on the card, but I want like, yeah, he's intelligent, and the rest of this segment, Marina comes down, but so does Willow. Marina's with a crowbar, but Willow's with a pipe, and it's like, yeah, he's got backup, and yeah, he's got this, and yeah, he's got that, but I don't know. Something's just missing. Something's missing in Swerve, and something's also just missing in this feud. Yes, then the Death Riders retreat. We had a cool bit with Marina. She came for Willow. The brawl ensues. Claudio literally rips Marina Shafir away. She's like, but proper still going for it. Nana's holding Willow back, and they keep trying to go for each other. It was a great pull apart. My thing that I've always thought is this isn't going to end until Willow and Marina get booked. Like, Willow has to take out Marina Shafir before Mox can be taken out. That's just what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen at Dynasty? Is it just... This match hasn't been booked, Willow and Shafir, by the way. But imagine how boring of a fucking pay-per-view it's going to be if it all happens on the same thing. Like, oh, the Death Riders lose the trios, and then Willow wins, and Swerve. That'll be so boring.
Oh, I bet that's
so boring and lame. Like, please, at least spread it out. Like, just, that's my other thing, for the love of God.
Yeah, like, don't fell them all in one night. But did you see that next week there's going to be a mixed tag team match.
I did. Yeah, it got announced before the main event, didn't it? So that'll be interesting.
Excited for that. That'll be... I mean, I hope it'll be good. I think it will be. Like, I don't doubt the wrestlers. I'm just interested the way they're gonna go about it in terms of, the story. Like, are we gonna get given it all, or are we gonna be teased a little bit and then we can have a rematch just between Willow and Marina?
Yeah, because one of them's gonna get the pin 100%. So is it gonna be a fucky win where, like you said, it's a bit of a tease, or is this the finish? And with the way this has been handled and our hype for this potential feud, there's certain things in AEW right now where I just have very measured expectations, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does conclude in a clean victory and they're like, oh, that's that little bit just dusted under the rug now. You don't have to worry about that. Wrap it up in a little bow.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, same.
It shouldn't be, because they deserve a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
So move on to Joe and Hook Samoa Joe. He's like, why did you have to put the choke in for that long? Hook's like, it's just a bit of banter. Joe's like, Caster is convincing, a fractured top flight, and AR Fox, he's like, go solo, look at me. And Joe comes and chokes Caster out from behind, which was very satisfying to see.
Yeah, for no apparent reason other than
bit of banter.
He's an annoying dickhead, and it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Ian was sitting next to me, and he saw my screen and went, Hook and Samoa Joe were just walking down the corridor, and he was like, oh, they look like father and son. It's like,
just father and son choking people out.
Father-son activities. Isn't that what dads do with their sons? I mean, I wouldn't know. But yeah, wholesome.
Yeah. Jay White, as you mentioned before, he was talking about his entering the Owen Hart Cup and his misfortune, because it was a bit of a shit show last year. And he also set up an open challenge for Collision. Jay White. It's hard being a Jay White fan, guys. It's really hard.
You're in the trenches week on week.
Fucking alright. It's like he's always constantly just below the surface about to break out.
Yeah,
he's
right.
so close to always breaking out, and something just always happens. And it's like, oh, cool, he's doing the Owen Hart now. But it's like a minute ago, he was primed with Cope in position for the world title, and they could have gone in that direction if they wanted to. If they really wanted to, they could have put momentum and stock behind him to have him do that. And it's like, it's the Owen Hart, but then he'll probably fuck up in the Owen Hart, but then there'll be another thing, and it's just like constantly being edged being a Jay White fan. It's so shit. I just want my man to just win a big one. Can you just let him fucking win for once? But it's the fact that he always gets so fucking close and gets it pulled away. That's what hurts.
I mean, yeah, because he's built up so high, and then so the fall is even greater because he's up here, and then suddenly.
But he doesn't fall though, because he just like dips, and then he's back in this. But he's just constantly just at the top.
He never breaks through, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's actually ridiculous. It infuriates me. All of his other peers, have gotten chances to shine and gotten titles and had things to do, but he's just never given. He's just always given like the shit end of the stick when it comes to the top guys. There's probably like 10 guys in the top, right? And he's like number 10, and he's just never given it. And I'm sick of it.
Sick of it. He's always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
That's so true. That is the experience. I hate being a Jay White. I don't even want to be a fan of him anymore, but I just love him so much. But it's like the Jay White life didn't choose. I didn't choose a Jay White life. It chose me. I used to hate this man as well. I used to fucking hate this man. Like the way, he was the way David Finlay is now at the Bullet Club. Like that's how he was. He was so fucking boring when he first started. And he was just like,
I mean, I agree. I didn't like him back then either. I didn't know that you didn't though.
No, I hated Jay White when he took over the Bullet Club. I was like, who's this absolute knobhead with his blue streak in his hair?
Yeah. Oh wow,
Surprised me.
that is new information to me.
Exactly. So anytime people are like, oh, you don't like Megan Bayne, well, who knows? In 10 years, I might be fucking singing to praise Megan. I might be a Bayner. You don't know. You don't know me. I'm crazy. I'm crazy like that. I'll be changing my mind daily. But now it's like me and Jay White, we've gone through the trenches. Yeah, it's like enemies to lovers, and I just need him to win.
Oh, he will.
Sorry, that's all.
He'll do it for you.
Hopefully. Then we had Darius and Dante. As I'm going through this, it feels like there was a lot on this show. It didn't feel like it watching it, but it feels like there was. I'm breaking it down, and we've still got a lot to go through. And it's like, God, there was a lot of things crammed in. There was everything but nothing.
Exactly. Like, speak for yourself, but I didn't. I felt like it went quite slow. I was quite bored by this
I watched
point.
in bits. To be fair.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's got something to do with it, or maybe I was just in a bit of a shit mood. Maybe I don't know, but by this point, I was really fucking bored. And then Top Flight came out. I was like, oh God, God help me! I was just
what a shit gimmick. Top Flight, they've all got same haircut and they wear tights with a plane on it. Honestly, Top Flight is the most jobber, creative wrestler gimmick to ever exist. It is so fucking boring.
Exactly, it's giving nothing.
It's giving nothing, but they're in the hometown, baby, so biggest pop of their career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that really confused me as well. And I think they were popping when Jay White was cutting his promo, so it was really distracting. All I could hear was this crowd in the background. I was like, what's going on? What's the big deal?
Fair enough. I was popping for Jay White when he wasn't even... I popped for Jay White when I saw him on Banner at Wembley.
Yeah, and he wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there, and I was
like,
popping,
oh my God, what if that means he's here? And he wasn't.
He wasn't. Tragic. But also, Top Flight has been some fractures. Andretti was at ringside with Leo Rush, which I think this makes so much more sense. These two look great together, and I'm not saying they're going to take over the tag division tomorrow, but I think, there's something more there. It's just Darius and Dante, and assumedly AR Fox is going to fill in for fucking Andretti, which... Jesus Christ, God bless him. But yeah, Leo and Andretti, there's something there with those two. There's potential. I think with Darius and Dante, there's nothing there for me. There's absolutely nothing there.
I mean, yeah, same. Me neither.
It's a husk. It's a bloody husk. Sorry, Bill and Brian Keefe for watching on. But it was a pleasant enough squash match in the physical in-ring stuff. But it was
a squash match.
It was a squash match. Enough said. Then we have Mark Briscoe versus Takeshita. This was, again, pleasant. I liked Takeshita matching the speed and unorthodox style of Mark Briscoe. He wasn't just going in trying to overpower him. He was trying to meet Mark Briscoe where he was at in terms of pacing, which meant Briscoe was able to get his shit in and looked great. Takeshita slowly and meticulously striking down Briscoe. I wrote, I need gold back on Takeshita. I need it. But yeah, he picked up the victory. And this was another swift, short and sweet match.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I think Mark Briscoe he's excellent. I mean, you can put him in the ring with anyone and he'll put on a really entertaining match, and he's very reliable in that way and just so fun. And yeah, this was no exception. I think they, you might not expect it looking at them, but they had quite good chemistry, I thought. And I enjoyed this one. It's really hard hitting. And yeah, I thought it was nice, like, no real consequences, no story behind it, but, I had fun watching it. And I also really like Don Callis on commentary again. I mean, I know we say every time he's on commentary, but it's so funny. He called Mark Briscoe a degenerate, and Shivani was like, well, what makes him a degenerate? And he went, he's got no teeth, he's bald.
Yeah,
That was the way he said it as well. Very funny. But yeah, Briscoe's great. He's like Brody King for me. He's just a solid mid-carder. He's just gonna put on a solid match. He's reliable. Takeshita's fucking great. I feel like we get to see. I feel like Takeshita wrestles pretty regularly every week on Dynamite. It feels like we get to see him. So, what an absolute fucking delight. You know, in the celebration box, he is the Malteser. He truly
oh my
is.
God, what a good idea for a video, like assigning wrestlers to your selection box.
Should have done that with a tier list. Should have had the chocolates.
Yeah.
Then we would have had to debate the chocolates. That would have.
That adds a whole nother layer of complexity to it. Very complex
We don't need
system.
that. We don't need more nuance. One thing me and you don't need is more nuance. So then we got the Hurt Syndicate backstage for an interview, but they're that all over the place that they're not even ready to answer any questions. So Lashley's like, you told us to go take a vacation. We come back and you try to shoehorn MJF in. Fair point.
Valid.
MVP's like, yeah, I know you've got concerns that he's reprehensible, but these are the things that make him good for the Hurt Syndicate. He's good for business. He says they can continue to talk about it if they are all in. That's fine. He won't join. He's such a good manipulator, MJF. Not MJF, MVP. Because he's making it seem like he's slowly breaking him down. He's getting him used to the idea. And he's like, you know what, if you guys don't want it, we won't do it anymore. But he's like slowly sort of working him round. Then he's like, but we shouldn't think about that. Let's think about Big Bill, Brian Keith, and we need to defeat them. And they're like, yeah. And this is just a masterclass in MVP. Just, I want to join a cult with MVP.
He's very persuasive. I feel like he could convince you to sign up to. He could sell you anything.
He could.
Like, he'd be an amazing
really
salesman. The best sales tactic is making someone think it was their idea. So I kind of feel like he's going down that route. Like, if you guys don't want to, you don't think it's a good idea, fine. And then, like you said, yeah, just master manipulator.
Great, but best manager there at the minute.
Oh yeah, by far.
Top tier. There's a lot of great managers though in AEW. There's a lot of people, a lot of fat on the edges that really make up AEW. I was going to say a lot of fat on the bird, but I don't even eat meat, and that's just a disgusting analogy. But yeah, I don't know why I would say that.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like
the managers, the commentators, the backstage
the
personnel,
extra people,
other than the refs.
Yeah,
we don't like that. That's like the gristle.
Yeah, we'll cut that bit off. Yeah, like the extra talent that
buffers.
They really add something. Like, well, I mean, commentators, you need them, but like managers, you don't necessarily need them. But when they're there and they're good, they're adding a lot, and that's what AEW does really well. Like, I think the managers have purpose; they're not just there for the sake of it. They do genuinely add depth and good things to whoever they're managing.
Yep. So we're going to move on to the main event. This was Megan Bayne with Penelope Ford against Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. The continued strong showing of Megan Bayne. It was nice that Thunder and Toni worked well together despite their history. And I also thought that Thunder and Penelope got a good showing despite the fact that the match obviously wasn't built around them.
Well, yeah.
It'd be very easy to discard them, but they got some good stuff in and they were given time, which I thought was pleasant.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, they were sort of the spare parts in this match, like sort of, like the buffer for the main sort of feud. But yeah, they got a good showing at least.
Yeah, and the match kind of concluded with the Toni and Megan getting the hot tag. We had sort of a bit of a chaotic closing bit to the match. We had the hip attack to Megan Bayne, who no-sold it, which Toni also sold with her reaction very well. She was not anticipating that at all. Penelope came in for the waist lock on Toni, but got caught in the crossfires of a big kick from Megan Bayne. Tony tries a roll-up kick out at 2. I think this should have been the finish because then Megan Bayne does the Fates Descent and pins Tony. I wrote, what a fucking joke.
Yeah, I wrote Megan Bayne pinning Tony is wild. What the fuck?
Stupid.
Stupid. I wasn't expecting that.
Daft.
I know they're going down the super strong presentation, like, oh my god, she's the biggest threat ever. How's anyone ever going to beat her? But having a pin in the champ is certainly a choice.
It's another level. It's another, and to pin her, if it had been roles reversing, it's like, oh, she got a roll up on her, and it's exciting. That's a lot more forgivable than just doing your finisher and a clean fucking pin. That's just awful. It's awful. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Oh.
Yeah,
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I have Sammy Guevara heat for it. I cannot explain to you how much I hate it. Like, I genuinely
everyone
hate it.
Everyone else, like, online seems to really.
Oh, that makes me hate him more. It makes me hate him more. I'm like, I don't want this person.
It's just like being force-fed someone, isn't it? I understand. I don't hate her with the same amount of passion, but I totally understand where you're coming from. It's like this person's seemingly really come out of nowhere, no real build, and suddenly she's indestructible apparently, and she's beating the champ 1, 2, 3. It made Tony Storm look quite weak, I thought, and I know that's kind of the point. Like, everyone is weak in comparison to her, but she's the champ. She should be kicked out.
Fuck off. This woman has been attacked with a heel. This woman's been through hell. This woman has taken Mariah May to hell. This is a tough bitch. Like, no. And I'm like, do you know what? Fair enough if they have a tough match one-on-one. And I mean, I won't be happy with it, but Megan Bayne gets the victory and it's like really physical. I get that. I get it if it's a roll-up victory. It was just the way. It's like rubbing salt into the fucking wound. It's like, really, she does one of her finishes, not like multiple, just one. And how OP, boring ass motherfucker. I just cannot.
Yeah, and it's like we still don't really know her. They've not done anything to.
I don't even know you like that, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know you like that. Like, you don't come and I don't make you a bagel. Like, we're not tight like that. We're not close like that. I don't even know your middle name. Like, you don't know me like that. Like, oh, I'm actually tweaking, bro. Like,
yeah.
This is like, to me, she's like the female Brian Cage. That's what it's like. It's like Brian Cage if you'd never been to AEW before, you just strutted in and fucking pinned Kenny Omega, because that'd be more offensive than John Moxley to me. It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting behaviour. I just can't. I'm tweaking.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. They've not
tweaking.
With their presentation, that's all it's been. Just really dominant in the ring, strong person, but we don't know anything about her. An interview or a vignette or something would quite easily achieve at least a little bit of character depth, just something. Let me get to know you a little bit. There's just no substance to it, really.
It's so bad, and there's no end to it either. Like, people are like, oh, but it's so cool. I'm like, it's really not. Is it going to be cool in like a week if she pins Tony and then has fuck all to do, and then all this build that we've done to make the women's division have depth and characters and stories, and this fucker struts in and just wins, and then we're back at stage 1 with people having been 2D, no depth. You can be big and like do big moves, and look at Will Hobbs, look at freaking Big Bill. Exactly. These are big guys with there's so many, like Mark Davis to Brody King are two very different, they have distinct styles. They have distinct versions of themselves. This is just giving Brian Cage, man. It's just a female Brian Cage. And like, I've never seen a female Brian Cage before until this day, but I'm tweaking out. I can't talk about it, like, genuinely. Like, it's really getting to me.
Anger's too much.
It's really
I know.
Take her away. Like, I can't. I'm having like a panic attack. Like, get this woman away from me. Like, I can't do it. This is like going to send me over the edge.
We don't want to send you over the edge, Estelle. We don't want to. Listen, I think this being like the final segment of this Dynamite, like, Tony just taking a pin clean was like, oh my God, that's how you end the show. That's the finishing note. It's like, Christ alive. And listen, I love women main eventing. Yeah, hook it up to my veins. But this was the only women's match. There wasn't enough women.
And you won't give me Willow versus Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
You wouldn't give me it for ages.
Mm-hmm.
But you give me this, like, why? Like, we're clamoring for that, and it's just, I just don't know. The thing is, right, I wouldn't even have anything against her, right, if she just came in and was just booked well, but it's like, I had to watch Chris Statlander get slaughtered. I love Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
And now Tony Storm, and it's just not good, man. It's just not good.
It's rough out there.
And I just want Jay White to win. I just want Jay White to win.
When Megan Bayne is winning and Jay White isn't, it's hard to be Estelle.
It really is, man. It really is.
On that note, we need to rate this show.
I don't know, because I was thinking originally before I really deeped this segment, like a 7.5 because it was pleasant, but I really hate that ending and there was just a lot of shit. So I'm thinking like just a 7.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I mentioned like towards the middle I was really bored. There was a lot of talking in this. I'm not against talking. I love a segment. I love promos. Give me that character shit. Oh yeah, eat that up. But there was a lot of it in a row, like, and most of it was really boring. The Moxley and Swerve segment and the Rated FTR interview was interesting, but like it was a sit down interview at the end of the day. Then you had Samoa Joe and Hook backstage. Nothing. Give me nothing. Then we had Jay White. Which, yeah, I know.
Don't set me off.
Like,
don't.
But it was he basically it was like a 2-minute interview, and then a top flight match.
No, this is like a nightmare. It's like a horror movie. Make it stop, Lucy. Take it away from me.
Even before all of that, there was even more like interviews before all that. And again, not saying that I don't like interviews. But it was a lot in a row, and I was really struggling to sit there and pay attention when it was a lot of stuff I didn't really care about. So I struggled with this episode. Also, the Minecraft thing, very distracting. Like
Minecraft.
The Minecraft. What do you call it? The barrier
LED
with
board.
the LED board was staring at me the whole time. Jack Black was looking at me.
Jack Black.
That was very distracting. There was
Jack Black.
There was a creeper
There's just so many
freaks.
I can't deal.
There was a creeper exploding on screen every 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
The stage
was cursed.
Very weirdly set out, which I didn't like. It was very spacious, and the whole vibes were off for me. The vibes were off.
I don't feel good. I don't feel good talking about this. Like I don't feel all right. Look at my eyes. I don't look good.
Listen, this is the effect that Megan Bayne and Jack Black have on just two girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a roundabout way, I'm trying to say. I mean, I can go with a 7. I mean, I'd lean even lower, but I could go with a 7.
Yeah, but MVP.
Yeah.
MVP was good. Who remembers MVP? Who remembers Big
Just
Bill?
Remember MVP, Big Bill.
What else was good?
Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, that was really good. Who remembers that? Let's go to our happy
versus
place.
Takeshita was fine.
Takeshita.
He's a
Kyle
reason
Fletcher.
to be
Takeshita. MVP.
MVP.
7 out of 10.
Fine.
Pew pew.
We'll
Guns
roll
up,
with it.
guys.
We'll roll with it.
Oh my God.
Well,
she'd beat Toffee Penny. She'd beat Toffee Penny in Quality Streets. That's what she is.
Does Quality Street have a Turkish delight? Because
no,
I feel like she'd be that.
The Toffee Penny. One. Oh, I like coconut. No, Toffee Penny. No one likes Toffee Penny. No one. Some people do though, just to be contrary. Like Toffee Penny, my favourite.
I would never pick a toffee one out.
You can have hot toffee then. Do you know what?
No, I wouldn't. I don't.
No, I'm talking to the proverbial person who's going to be like, I love a toffee penny, me.
Oh, yeah. We have... we will make a comment that we don't think is that controversial in this podcast, and you can guarantee at least one person in the comment section is going to be
Bandido's my favourite.
Actually, that's my favourite person in the world. How dare you? Or like quite a non-controversial statement about someone we do like, and they'll be like, "What do you mean? That person's the worst person ever." E.g., was it Tony Schiavone on our tier list video?
Tony, how can you like Tony Schiavone? What a criminal.
Well, yeah. Anyway,
this episode broke me.
That got a bit unhinged towards the end. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching us, well, mainly Estelle, sorry, have a bit of a meltdown towards the end. I mean, hopefully it was entertaining, if nothing else. I know, I mean, all in all, that was quite fun. And I was quite negative about the episode, but I had fun talking about it, as always. So, I mean, if you want to see more of this, for some reason, you can subscribe or follow. And do leave a like or a rating, because that really helps algorithms and shit. And yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. What would have you rated it this week? What was your favourite bit? What did you not like? What do you think about Meg and Bayne? We've got
a video coming as well. Let's not bring that one back up again. We've got a video coming which we said was going to be in between last episode and this episode, but like it ended up being quite long. So there's going to be multiple parts. But that will, I think, a million gazillion % be up between this Dynamite and the next one. So keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, and keep your ears open for that. Yeah, it's probably going to be 2 parts, so lots of content coming your way. You lucky people.
Lots of content of us.
Yeah, that's
some people's nightmares, some people's dreams. Like Beyonce, it could be a sweet dream or a beautiful nightmare. That is the tagline of this podcast.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Probably a nightmare, but that's what you're here for. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed or followed, do that now, and you won't miss out on all the beautiful nightmares in the future.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb.